Hey everyone, welcome back to Poplar Preparedness. We are going to be looking at some pictures and seeing what things look like here in the Pittsburgh area. We're going to be seeing firsthand those food shortages, see what's looking. Honestly, things are looking a little bit better, but there's still some significant holes in different places, in some unusual places that you're going to be seeing for yourself. First up, we're going to be jumping over to Sam's Club, and of course, the dreaded shortage of chicken is going to be evident on display. Let's jump into it. All right, so here we are at Sam's Club, and there's some ribs, but there is no $4.98 chicken. There is half the cabinet of chicken cooking in the background, but this was at 5:30 in the evening. So if you're going in there right after work and trying to pick up a rotisserie chicken, nope. Can't get one. If you're trying to pick one up for a dinner that you guys are going to have, nope, can't get one. That's something that's, we're seeing more and more of, is even though they still have it, they don't have it, right? This video is brought to you by Genesis Gold Group. They are a sponsor of this channel. They're helping us get off of YouTube ads. But they are all about helping people move from their 401ks or their IRAs that are locked into stocks and bonds, which are both risky investments, to get over into gold, silver, platinum, or other metals that is vaulted. So moving out of crazy assets into something that is secure, that is stable. This is not financial advice, of course. I am not a financial advisor, but having some of your retirement in physical assets as opposed to just investments seems like a wise idea to me. If you think so too, you might want to talk to Jonathan over at Genesis Gold Group. He's a great guy. He has a lot of experience in the industry, and he can talk to you about a whole bunch of different options. All right, folks, let's go over to Walmart to see what pictures we're seeing over there. Beef is on the shelf for the most part, relatively well stocked. Prices are still hanging around just under $3 for ground beef if you buy the 20-pound chub. Of course, last time I bought a 20-pound chub, within like 3 days, it was already rotten. But, that is what it is, right? Frozen potatoes continue to be in, I would say shortage, but just non-existent is a more accurate word for it. Just a lot of varieties just gone. You don't really have the option of buying hash browns. You can buy other kinds of potatoes if you want them. In the frozen food aisle, we're seeing frozen pizzas and stuff like that. A lot of varieties are just missing. Other varieties exist, but they seem to be substituting and spreading out a lot of the varieties. But other things just not being restocked. And I know people say it's just a stocking issue. It's just a stocking issue. But folks, if it's not on the shelf, you can't buy it. That means people are either buying other stuff. People aren't buying that much more food than what they were before. What is with this issue? It is really, in the end, just a production issue. They're not producing enough. And that's what we're really seeing out there. Salsas and stuff like that, some of that is fronted. Other tomato products, we're seeing shortages on tomatoes, particularly because of the bad harvest out west in California. Vinegar, of course, continues to be very short for weeks on end, and there's some aloe vera where the apple cider vinegar should be. Notice there's only one bottle of apple cider vinegar, and it is a fancy bottle, and you don't have any generic bottles of apple cider vinegar. All right. Olives continue to be short and having issues restocking. It's funny how they just have trouble restocking items that are in shortage, right? Now, rice and pinto beans are looking pretty good on the shelf, folks. So if you need to stock up, get out to the store and stock up. It doesn't get cheaper than buying that 20-pounder of rice and buying that 20-pounder of pinto beans. I'm not saying it's going to be the most tasty thing you've ever eaten in your life, but what I'm saying is, if you ever need it, it will be there. And if you store these things properly, they will last 20 to 30 years. It's not expensive. It's super cheap. It's not hard. It's super easy. Okay, folks? Get your rice. Get your pinto beans. I'm not making a dime off that recommendation. In fact, I would make a ton of money selling you a bunch of fancy freeze-dried, buy this for $500 for 30 days food. No, just buy the rice and beans, folks. That's emergency food. Canned meats. Canned chicken has reappeared, but it is not as deep as I'm used to seeing it, and the prices are just ridiculous, really. Prices are ridiculous. Here's the upper section of that meat section. Spam is getting a little harder to find. It's there's less there. Prices are up on that. Honestly, I put a big dent in the Keystone beef when I was there. That was the main thing I picked up. I picked up like 4 cans of Keystone beef. It's pricey, but if you don't have the time to can beef, get your Keystone beef. If you don't have time to can meat, buy canned meat. If you're short on funds, then you can definitely do it cheaper by canning it yourself. If you're short time, buy it. If you're short money, then can it yourself. The stovetop, and now some of this is to be expected. We're coming in on Thanksgiving, and people are stocking up for Thanksgiving. So I expect the mashed potatoes and the stuffing section to be a little bit rowdy, and that's what we're seeing here. But we've been seeing that section look pretty rough over the last number of weeks, so I still want to point that out for you. Stuffing looked a lot better, or a lot more in stock at Aldi, so we'll see that in just a little bit. But Chef Boyardee, some issues there, but just a lot of the canned stuff. You see my basket in the bottom left there with the Keystone beef cans in there. And then just canned goods in general, just lots of dents, just not being restocked properly, and partly I believe because the production is not quite as robust as it could be. Tomato section, I mean, it's there. You can get what you need. Now the pasta is having issues again. Look at that. We had issues with the durum wheat and just the production of pasta. Some varieties you're going to be not getting. Some brands you're not going to be getting. I did not make that hole, by the way. That was there. That hole in the pasta section was already there. Ramen noodles look like they're getting hit a little harder. I don't know how much that has to do with the folks down south with the hurricane and such like that. Ramen noodles being diverted to down south. That could be a thing. Salt continues to be an issue, and seasonings continue to be an issue. That whole bottom row going over to the left, that used to be all salt as well. It has now been repurposed for other seasonings that they haven't found to stock with. So they've just shrunk the salt section in order to make it look more full. Crisco and those other hydrogenated fats and such, they look to be a little more picked over. Of course, there's a lot more baking that happens this time of year. Also with the vegetable oils in stock, but less than what you used to be seeing on the shelf there. Same kind of thing with flour. It is in stock, but it's more picked over, and people are clearly buying more of it, and they seem to be having trouble kind of keeping up with things. But there's more baking that happens this time of year, so as long as they keep it fairly well stocked, we won't get on them too much. You can just see with the canned pumpkin how many of them are dented, how many of them are damaged. Just saw across the baking section just not a lot of restocking happening. Just a lot of cake mixes, a lot of brownies, a lot of all that kind of stuff having trouble getting figured out. Sugar is in stock, but some holes here and there. And then one thing that I thought was really interesting was just seeing how low the Gatorade section was. We used to have problems with that back during the cough, but we're seeing a lot of Gatorade just flying off the shelf once again, or not being restocked. I don't know, once again, how much of that is just being diverted for hurricane relief. That could be a thing. We're still seeing issues with the heavy creams and the whipped creams and stuff like that. Also the coffee creamers. Just a lot of holes, a lot of, took some time to get this picture because there's a lady in front of me and she, apparently her favorite coffee creamer wasn't there and she was trying to figure out what to get. Milk looking a little more sparse. Chocolate milk, look at that. We still got like 3 or 4 half gallons, but that's about it. That's all the chocolate milk that exists in this Walmart at this time. Cream cheese, fairly well stocked, but of course a lot more cooking goes on with cream cheese this time of year. But of course you also need some eggs, and eggs were very unstocked. That was very troubling to see how few eggs they had on shelf. That's pretty eye-opening, folks. The lunch meat sections still struggling to keep in stock. Looking a little better in the bacon and sausage sections than previous weeks. Chicken section has been shrunk again. Those Bob Evans meals are just kind of, they're mostly potatoes and mac and cheese, kind of taking up more and more space. Over at the Aldi, just seeing some issues with some gaps in their stocking. Tortillas have come back, so that's good because I was a little worried about that tortillas kind of going away. I know they're easy to make, but you know what? They're even easier to buy tortillas, and I do that a lot. So those are very handy for tacos and for all sorts of stuff. Still seeing issues with different kinds of pastas over at Aldi. The instant mashed potatoes, generic, they just decided to just get rid of the whole spot, and they just put other stuff there so that you won't see it. Canned goods, fairly well stocked. With the meat section, chili is still there, and chili with beans is still a fair price. So I definitely kind of stock up on that. I was grabbing a few of those. Cream cheeses at Aldi are just basically gone. So that's just kind of the way it is. There's limit 6s, and they're still disappearing. Butter, cream cheese, all that. People who are trying to bake apparently are cleaning out Aldi. Bacon, there's not as much there as there should be. Pork seems to be fairly well stocked. Beef, fairly unstocked. So the beef looked pretty good over at Walmart, but then over at Aldi, it looked pretty picked over. Chicken section, pretty picked over at Aldi as well. They don't have their limits on there, but the prices are a little bit cheaper than Walmart, and so therefore they're not keeping them in stock as well. Frozen section looked fairly well stocked, having some issues with the beef, frozen beef, but water. Aldi having issues having water in stock. There's a couple empty pallets there. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. If you have an update that you'd like to share with us, use the word update in a comment down below and give us some sort of geographical area, and you can tell us what you're seeing store-wise, empty or not empty, and you might be able to be on the next update video. All right, thanks so much for watching. You might want to check out this other video that's up on screen. See me over there, or I'll see you later. Steve Poplar out.